So this past weekend, Kyle Busch took the checkered flag at Nashville Superspeedway in the Xfinity Series for his 100th career win. It was a dominating win to say the least, leading 122 laps out of the 189, including 2 restarts in the final 10 laps. The win signified the near end to Kyle Busch's career, and so in this video I wanted to take a look at his most memorable wins in the Xfinity Series. These could either be milestones he hit, incredible finishes, or other personal accomplishments he relished in, as well as maybe a few that I think are noteworthy of being on this list. We'll start from the first win and run down the list all the way to his 100th. Under a cool, freshly paved Richmond racetrack under the lights, Kyle Busch, in true Kyle Busch-esque fashion, sat on the pole with Jamie McMurray on the outside. From the drop of the green, Kyle Busch led and led and led some more. And just like we know him today in the series, he was untouchable. Leading 236 out of the 250 laps, Kyle Busch took the checkered flag for his first career win handily in the Fune 250. The next win was one worth of proving. For years, and even to this day, Kyle Busch and his relationship with plate tracks is so-so. He sometimes will lead that occasional lap, but putting a whole race together has always been difficult for KFB. However, he has won a race on every single track on the schedule, save for a few of the newer ones, including Daytona. Busch would start 14th and would make quick work of climbing to the front. The RCR cars of Kevin Harvick, that year's Daytona 500 champion, and Clint Bowyer would be unstoppable, as ECR engines would usually be at this time. But after green flag pit cycles were complete, Kyle Busch came out on top. He would lead 4 laps before Clint Bowyer would grab the lead. The two would go back and forth and back again for the lead, and by the end of this, Kyle Busch would lead 39 laps. A debris caution would come out and the floodgates to pit road would open. It would be this strategy that would mire Clint Bowyer back to 13th. Busch, on the other hand, hadn't pit, and would stay out, leading the final 26 laps of the checkers. This would be aided by a few cautions here and there that would help him in this charge, but it would be his 8th career Xfinity Series win. Win number 12 for Kyle Busch would be his first one with Joe Gibbs Racing. It's crucial because from this moment on, every win and every dominating performance would be piloting a Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota. Busch would start 31st for the O'Reilly 300, and it would be an uphill battle from the drop of the green. Traffic, as it usually was at Texas, was miserable, but Busch slowly but surely was making his way up to the front. He would lead his first lap off pit cycles, but would be mired once everything sequenced out. And once everything had, Tony Stewart found himself in the lead. Busch swiftly passed him and led another 22 laps on the day. A caution coming out allowed strategy to come in and take him to the end. Except for 4 laps of pit cycles where Jeff Burton and Jamie McMurray led, Busch would lead almost all of the final laps of the race, 103 to be precise, for a grand total of 126 laps out of the 200. It was a passively dominating performance, I'd say. The Silver Jubilee of race wins came at one of Busch's most infamous ones. We all know the win for this.
Or something, because he tore it up tonight, and let's see. Oh, he's gonna do it. The guitar. That's a strong guitar.
How did he actually get into victory lane? Well, Busch would start on the pole and dominate pretty much the entire race. Really, the only thing you need to know was that Jason Leffler was probably the only car that could even think about challenging Busch, leading 26 laps. But it wasn't enough, as Busch led 173 laps out of the 225 set. For the next win, I need to give a little bit of context here. Back then, NASCAR drivers could not only compete for the Cup Championship, but for the now called Xfinity Series Championship. This means they could run full-time and spoil not just one race, but a whole season entirely. This lasted for years, decades even, but it didn't really become an issue until the youth development programs were going down the drain. Some drivers who won championships in this time frame were Kevin Harvick in 2006, Carl Edwards in 2007, Clint Bowyer in 2008, and Kyle Busch in 2009. Busch would start 5th for the Ford 300, and would start showing some early dominance in the race. Whenever somebody thought they could make a pass and run away with the lead, Busch took it right back. The only guys that proved to be a challenge for Rowdy was Jeff Burton and Carl Edwards. Edwards in particular needed to win the race, and was tantalizingly close to championship number 2 in the Xfinity Series. But it wasn't enough, as Busch would lead a sizable 73 laps out of the 200 to win his first NASCAR Series championship and only one in the Xfinity Series. This one is here because of the incredible finish it had at the end, and showing that Kyle Busch isn't completely superhuman. This race, Busch had to fight tooth and nail to collect the checkered flag. Busch would start second in the Stater Brothers 300, and on the outside of him was Joey Logano, his teammate, in the 20. Logano was quick, leading 130 laps out of the 152 in total. But closer to the end of the race, a caution flew, allowing a 2-lap shootout to commence. Greg Biffle, a driver who had led 11 laps prior to this, and Kyle Busch, who had only led a measly 3 laps before this, were going to have one last shot at Joey Logano.
3 rows. Green flag is back out, and we are going to find out who's going to win at California. Whoa, look at them diving underneath. Rudiman way off the pace. Everybody gets around him.
Biffle trying the inside. Okay, he's got into him. He's got the lead.
He loosened him up, and now he's going down low. And there goes Joey getting shuffled. The last time Joey led over 100 laps, he ended up losing the race. Could it happen again?
Well, Biffle's got a mirror full of Kyle Busch right now.
And here comes Keselowski. Remember, Dodge hasn't won a race since 2007. The white flag this time by.
Kyle Busch to the high side here. Biffle shuts the door on him.
1 lap remaining. 2 miles here.
Man, I'm telling you, that 18 is up underneath Greg Biffle at the start-finish line.
It looks like it's going to be a shootout between these two. Down into turn 2. Kyle on the low side. Biffle drifts up high. Here comes Busch. Right behind him, the 22 of Keselowski. He's trying to get in the mix.
Though. The 22 could have a shot here also. These guys side by side.
Joey Logano trying to get back. Here he goes, down low. Can he hold it? Through the turn 3 area, through 4. Look out, 4 cars going to be dicing for it, heading for the stripe. What a finish. Will it be Biffle? Will it be Busch? Going for the wire. It is going to be a spinning Logano, and the win goes to Busch.
Win number 41 was monumental to say the least. It would break the record of most wins in an Xfinity Series season with the legend Sam Ard. Ard had 10 in 1983, but Busch broke that with 11 at the end of the full Dover race, the Dover 200. Just like the previous one I talked about, it was Busch who sat on the outside of Joey Logano on pole, but unlike the previous one I talked about, it was Busch who dominated, not Logano. Though he did play a strong second fiddle, coming up just short. Kyle would lead all but 8 laps. 8 laps on the day for a total of 192, out of 200 in all. The only others to lead a lap was the aforementioned Joey Logano with 3, and Ryan Newman with 5. And by the way, Busch would win 2 more races that year for a grand total of 13 wins in 2010. That's just absurd, especially in the modern era. The golden jubilee of race wins came at Kyle Busch's best track on the schedule, Bristol Motor Speedway for the 2011 Food City 250. Kyle Busch would start on pole, and yeah, I think you know where this is going. He would lead the first 112 laps before Clint Bowyer's Kevin Harvick Incorporated 33 Chevy came alive. He'd proceed to lead 50 laps while Busch lay back and was ready to pounce at the slightest fall off. And ever patiently 50 laps later, he would take back the lead for 24 laps, while Bowyer had one last charge for 2 laps before he burned his stuff up. The dust was settled for 5 laps, but a hard-charging Joey Logano came and tried to spoil the show. 12 laps, and the Master took over for 45 laps, the final 45 laps, and taking the win. Win number 59 marked the first time Rowdy Busch would kiss the fabled bricks of Indianapolis. After going winless in 2012 due to the fact he tried to start a competitive Xfinity team and failed, he came back to Joe Gibbs for 2013 and immediately racked up 7 wins. And entering into this race, a win was all but inevitable. Busch sat on pole for the Indiana 250 and led 92 laps out of the 100 set. Just like the previous one, only 8 laps were left in the hands of the field. Fast forwarding all the way to 2015, the life of this future Hall of Famer was almost dropped into the hands of death. With 2 fractured legs, Busch would sit out for the next few months, but the inner racer inside of him was tired of sitting. After a full and thorough recovery, Busch came back to Michigan of that year and qualified a decent 11th. The pole sitter for the Great Clips 250 was Joey Logano, who was the dominant car of the day, leading 54 laps out of the 125 set. Chris Buescher would lead 23 laps and would be a fairly solid car through the day. But the driver with true winning speed in the car, putting everything that happened months prior behind him, was Kyle Busch for his 71st Xfinity Series win. The 30th race of the 2015 Xfinity Series season at Kansas Speedway marked the place where Busch took his 75th win, 3/4 mark to 100. Matt Kenseth sat on pole, and for the entire day, only him and Kyle Busch led a single lap. I'm not even making that up. Kenseth would lead the first 107 laps before Busch took the next 34, and then Kenseth led 24 laps before Busch led 1. The pattern of Kenseth-Busch landed with Busch, leading 56 laps on the day en route to win number 75. Kenseth would fall short, only leading 148 laps out of the 204, but still placing a respectable second. Win number 93 is huge for a variety of different reasons. 1, he swept the weekend after the win, winning both an Xfinity and an Cup. 2, it was the first time that people said, hey, Busch is creeping close to that 100 win mark. And 3, this was win 198 in his quest to 200 total wins in all 3 series. The next 2 would be Cup. Busch would start 3rd and quickly work his way up to the front here at Phoenix Raceway, and by this point you probably know he would never look back, leading 116 laps out of the 200 in all, taking the checkered flag for his 93rd Xfinity win at the 2019 Spring Phoenix race. And finally, win number 100 at Nashville Superspeedway, NASCAR's return there no less. Busch would start first, leading 122 laps out of the 189 that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. He would indeed hold off 2 restarts and an impatient Justin Allgaier, still in search of his first win of the season. So there you have it, all of Kyle Busch's most memorable wins from 1 through 100 and everything in between. Let me know what wins you guys think were memorable, or do you guys agree with this list? Let me know in the comments below, and until next time, this has been the news. I'll see ya.